Good morning. This is Betty Shan. We're so glad for all of you that has joined, and I hope I'm not flubbing up so much that you give up on me and quit. Now, I told you at the beginning I am definitely not a chef. I am just an old country cook, and I like to cook meals that are good for you and meals that go a long ways sometimes. But if you'd look in my refrigerator right now, you'd think, yeah, you really need to be cooking. You need to be eating leftovers. But I have tried different things and it hasn't worked. And some of you's caught part of it and some of you haven't. And oh, I've made a mess of everything. But my poor grandson, I know he's getting aggravated at me because one time it's I do one thing right and the other thing wrong, and so, but I'm not a quitter, so I'm going to keep trying. This morning I decided that I've got homemade soup in the refrigerator where I tried that, and I've got I tried yesterday to fix fried chicken liver so y'all could see how I done it, and I messed up on that video, so here I am. I'm going to try again, and today I am mixing up a meatloaf. And I know there's a lot of you that know how to make meatloaves and you've made them all your life, but there's some of them out there that don't even know how to make a meatloaf. So this is just a very easy, simple meatloaf. As a matter of fact, when I was a girl, they used to put on the label of it a Dutch meatloaf. But now why it was called Dutch, I have no idea. It's just a simple little meatloaf, and this was made a lot by my grandmother and my mother, and I always said that my granny made the best meatloafs. My grandma, she made the best meatloafs. But I think what I figured out was that she always had a garden, and she could go out there and put 2 or 3 bell peppers in her meatloafs if she wanted to. But mother a lot of times didn't have that bell pepper, and sometimes we had meatloafs without bell pepper. But I like bell pepper, so I'm going to make this meatloaf up, and it's just a very simple meatloaf, but it's one that all of you, I think, would enjoy. I know my family, over the years, my husband, after I'd make one, he'd say, Bet, I'd like to have a meatloaf sandwich in my lunch tomorrow. So I'd use my leftovers to make meatloaf sandwiches for him to take out the mines. And then I had my daughter number 5. She was another meatloaf lover, but she wanted me just to get the meatloaf out and just warm me a piece of that meatloaf. And I hope that somebody out there can enjoy this, and I hope that I do it right to where we can get one out today. Have a good day, and I am going to see you in my kitchen next. Okay, here I am in my kitchen, and I'm trying to adjust this to where you can see what I've got. I always like to show my ingredients and what I use first, so that if you want to make the recipe, you can look at this again and know what I put in it. Okay, I've got me a bowl out to mix it in, but I've got me a bell pepper, which I told you I really like bell pepper in my meatloaf. Then I've got an onion, but I won't use all of this onion. I'll probably use about half of this onion. I won't use the whole onion. We'll set that over here. I have 1 egg, and I've set it in my dish that I'm going to break it in. And then I have a can of tomato sauce, an 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. And then I bought me a package of hamburger meat. Now, when I was cooking for my family, there wasn't nothing for me to make a 4-pound meatloaf and put it in a big roaster pan. But I'm trying to keep things small because it's kind of hard to feed 1 or 2 people with a bunch of food like I fix. But I found this, and it's 2 pounds, right at 2 pounds. I probably could have got by the pound. I thought, well, that's so little, I hate to mix it up for anybody to see, because there's very few people just use 1 pound of hamburger meat. But I got me a package of hamburger meat here. And I got my roasting pan out, and I'll spray it with the pan before I use it so it won't stick and it won't be so hard to wash. And I did not get my bread out, but before you come back, I'll have my bread out. But what I think I'm going to do, I am going to go ahead and chop up my bell pepper and chop up my onion. And when I get that done, I will be back. I want to take just a second here and show you that I'm washing my hands. Okay, one thing I did forget to do, I forgot to get my bread out. And I used just regular old sandwich sliced bread. And I got me 3 slices out, and I pinch it up into little pieces because I'm going to put it in my meatloaf. And that firms up the meatloaf, and that it adds flavor to the meatloaf. But I've already pinched up 2 slices of bread and part of another one. And I thought, well, I might ought to show you that I just pinch this up just like this. And I'm going to do 3 slices to 2 pounds of meat. Now, a lot of this is guessed. You learn as you go along. Your first one might not be so perfect, but you'll not like me. You learn eventually. Okay, we'll get this bread done real fast. And then we'll open our meat up and we'll get started mixing up our meatloaf. I've got 3 slices of bread there for 2 pounds of meat. And I may put more in it when I get to mixing. I may feel like it needs a little bit more. I'm going to open up this hamburger meat now. And there's only 2 pounds here. Like I say, you can make them as big as you want to, but you have to add more ingredients. And I'm trying to keep this small where I won't have so much leftovers. I like leftovers, but I don't like every other meal having to be a leftover. Okay. I'm going to kind of chop that up with my hands, and you seen me wash my hands a while ago. So I want to be sure that all of you know that I wash my hands. Because I believe in that. Okay, I've chopped, just kind of mixed up my meat where it wouldn't be all stuck together so bad. See? I'm trying to get this where you can see what I'm doing. Okay, let's try that. Okay, and I chopped. I'm going to put this over here out of my way and the wrap so that won't be in my way. And there is my onion, and I used about a half of that onion. I didn't use it all because I don't want it to taste like an onion meatloaf. I like that bell pepper taste. And I used the bell pepper, but I didn't use it all. I kept out a little bit of it because I eat it. Okay, there you go. There's your bell pepper. You just put all this stuff in there. And if you see some you didn't get chopped good, break it up. Okay, and then I'm going to put my breadcrumbs in. Alrighty, I'll spread that out a little bit. Then I'm going to take and crack my egg. I like to, on this 2 pounds I'm using 1 egg, but I may add another one. This is what holds it together a lot. And I'm not like them chefs that can crack it with one hand and dump it out. Buddy, I've tried that over and over and I just can't do it. So I've got me an egg here and I'm just going to add that egg to it. I put it in a bowl to check it because once in a while you get a bad egg. I'm not out on a farm where I can light them with the candle, see if they're all right and all that. I buy them at the store. Okay, and I'm going to take this can opener and we're going to open up this tomato sauce. You can cut your hand on these lids if you're not careful. Now I'm going to pour that right on top. Put that aside. I won't need that no longer. And then I'm going to put salt and pepper. Now this is where you come in that you have to use what you feel like your family would like. And you stop and consider. I've got 2 pounds of meat that needs salt. My bread is salted. But I've got an egg in there that needs salt. So you kind of guess in your mind about how much salt you put in there. And my salt shaker pours pretty good. But I'm going to put salt in there, and then I'm going to put pepper in there. And if you ever get too much pepper, my family don't think you can use too much pepper, but put pepper in there. I'm going to put just a little bit more salt. Okay, now I've got all of that in there. I'm going to start turning it. And I'm not mashing it up so much, but I will in a minute more. But I'm just mixing this all together. You want that meat, all of it, to be seasoned with your salt and your onions and your bell pepper. And you just mix it real good. You keep mixing it till you know that it's mixed in there and all of it's got some of something in it. You don't want just a big ball of hamburger meat. You want to have it where it's got some of the stuff in it. Now at this point, there will be people that want to add different things, but this I am making into just a simple meatloaf. But you can add Worcestershire sauce to this. There's people adds different things to it. Some like oregano in it. You know, there's different spices like garlic and just different things that people like to put in their meatloaves. But this is a Dutch meatloaf, and we keep it simple. I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can for a meatloaf. And if this was much drier, I would go and get another can of tomato sauce. But I know 2 cans would be too much, I'm afraid. So I'm going to let you see this when I get it mixed up. Okay, I've got this mixed real good, and I'm going to rinse my hands. I say rinse, a lot of people say wash. Anyway, we'll get my hands cleaned up a little bit where I can get this pan. And I've got a very small roasting pan. If it was much more meat, I'd have to get a bigger pan. But for me, this is plenty big, and I'm going to spray it with pan. Spray it real good. The reason I do that, that's to make my cleanup of my pan easier. Okay, and I didn't tell y'all I used 85-15 meat is what I use this time. A lot of times on my cooking, if I'm fixing Spanish food, I try to use 80-20. But this, I'm not really wanting that much fat in it. I'll have to pour the fat off. So I'm putting all of this in this pan, and I'm going to form it into a loaf. See what I'm doing? I'm just forming this meatloaf into a loaf. So it will be a loaf when it gets done. Okay, and I put some little lines in it just so it'll, I guess just to decorate more than anything. But look at that meatloaf. Okay, all I'm going to do is slip me a lid on it. And I've already got my oven heated. I turned my oven on when I first started. So I'm going to put this into a 350 oven, and we're going to let it cook. Okay, we've got that in the oven. I'm going to turn you off, and when it's done. Okay, while my meatloaf is still in the oven getting a little brown, I want to talk to you a minute. When I take this meatloaf out, a lot of people just eat it like it is. But I have a grandson, and he loves it with brown gravy. He wants brown gravy on his meatloaf when he has meatloaf. So usually we have mashed potatoes and brown gravy, and he puts that gravy on that meatloaf. He likes it that way. But when I was a girl growing up, Mama always mixed a little sauce up to put on top of it before it got completely done or completely dried out, you might say. And I'm going to mix some of this up and show you how she done it. And she smeared it on top of it, then we'd put it back in the oven where it would get good and hot. So right now I'm going to mix up some of this sauce and let you see what she did. Now, I'm not saying you have to do this. This is just something she did, and as kids, we loved it on there. But she'd take a little bit of brown sugar, which I've got my brown sugar out. I put it in a container where it won't dry out because I buy it from Sam's and I get a big one. So I'm going to put about half a cup of brown sugar there. And I'm going to add some ketchup to it. And I've got a bottle here that's just about empty. Oh boy, that went everywhere. See, that's what I mean when you do things to... I make the biggest messes when I do this. I don't know why. I think I got a hex on me or something. I'll clean up this ketchup a little bit. Okay. Now I know that's not enough ketchup, so I'm going to add a little bit more ketchup. Like I said, there's really no measurements. That's just the way she done it. Then she mixed the brown sugar and ketchup together. I'm going to put a little more brown sugar in this, which you shouldn't have to. I just put too much ketchup in mine, what I done. And I want to give you kind of an idea of what the mixture looks like. So I put a little more brown sugar in this. Okay, and I'm going to put just a little bit of mustard in it. Now, if I ain't careful, I'll put a whole gob of that, and I don't want a whole gob in it. There, just a little bit. And Mama at times put a little more in it. She'd make it look a little bit yellow, but I'm afraid of getting too much in it. That's fine. Okay, let's see about this meatloaf now. Okay, it looks brown, but it's got a lot of juice in it this time, so I'm going to have to drain it off. See, it's got a lot of liquid on it. So I'm going to drain that off. To a bowl. Turn you around here where you can see what I'm doing. Not trying to hide anything from you, just don't know how to operate my camera. Okay, I'm gonna pour a lot of this juice off. Okay, that's got enough of it off. I'm going to pour this sauce over the top of this meatloaf. Let it drain down the sides of it and put a little extra on top. Mama would fix this, and a lot of times she'd just fix a big old pot of pinto beans to go with it. Of course, she'd fix more than what I fixed here. I'm sure she put 3 or 4 pounds of meat in her meatloaf. Okay, now I'm going to slip this back into the oven for about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, and let it get good and hot. Let some of that cook into it, and we'll be back with you. Okay, I'm going to show you. I'm not afraid to eat my own food. It is still very hot, but it is really good. You could always put a little extra of this. I made too much, so you could put a little more of the ketchup and stuff on top if you wanted to. But I'm fixing to have green beans and creamed potatoes to go with it. Bon appetit. Very good. You have a good day. Keep your chin up and live for the Lord.